right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome and bienvenue to Supporting Best Practice in Student Confidence, Proficiency, and Achievement in French as a Second Language. This project has been supported by the Ontario Ministry of Education and was created by the Ontario Modern Languages Teachers Association in partnership with the Modern Languages Council. My name is Jordan Sloan, and I'm going to be here to introduce you to each of the modules that we will be presenting. This series of 3 modules is intended to provide support for Ontario School Board leaders during their professional conversations in the context of transforming FSL. The FSL context requires a solid understanding of the best practices that can support student confidence, proficiency, and achievement in FSL. Tonight, you are going to see an overview of the first of 3 modules intended to provide principals, NTIP leaders, learning coaches, and mentors with tools that can be used immediately in supporting new FSL teachers. Although the intent of these modules is to support those that support FSL teachers, the teachers themselves are going to gain a great deal of understanding, knowledge, and ideas for their teaching and are encouraged to take part in these webinars, to view the videos, and to check out all the viewers' guides for more information. You're going to find the videos, the viewers' guides, and the recording of tonight's session at www.omlta.org, and everything's going to be posted there eventually all together. So tonight we are exploring Module 1. We are setting up for success and creating positive classroom environments. This module is going to focus on what a positive FSL classroom environment looks like and how to create the same. Other things we're going to explore are going to be resource selection, instructional strategies, and teaching in the a la carte context. I am now going to pass you on to the creators of this module, Jennifer Burse, the FSL curriculum consultant for the York Region District School Board, and Andrea Vogan, the instructional program lead for FSL with the Halton District School Board. All to you, ladies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Vogan, and as Jordan said, I'm with the Halton District School Board, instructional program lead for French as a second language. And I'm here with Jennifer. Oh, we can't hear you, Jennifer.
Thanks, Andrea. I appreciate that. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Verse. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties, apparently. I am one of the FSL curriculum consultants for the York Region District School Board, and very happy to be a part of this project with Andrea and many other members of both the OMLTA and the MLC.
Great. Okay, thank you. So as we're presenting tonight, I'm going to be doing sort of most of the talking, and Jennifer's going to be in the background with Jordan. We do have some interactive features that we're sort of finger crossed or hoping are going to work for us. If they don't, please just bear with us. We want to get you involved as much as we can, and we're hoping all of the tech will work for us. So as Jordan said, this is Positive Classroom Environments. Part of a 4-part series that's happening over the next few months. When we started this project in the summer, we kind of had all of this information that we wanted to share, and it took us a while to sort of split it into the different modules. What Jennifer and I took on was sort of, if you can picture all of the things that you would want the FSL teacher to know before the first day of class. So how they get information about their students, how they might set up their class, how they might go about choosing resources, who they might want to connect with within the board, etc. So if you can kind of keep your thinking to sort of that part of the year. I know our time is kind of off for that right now, but this is where sort of our journey begins for the new FSL teacher. As we said, we worked with the OMLTA, the Ontario Modern Language Teachers Association. I have linked the website in here. This is sort of my go-to for a lot of things about current practice, upcoming events to do with French, different webinars and instructional supports and guides. The OMLTA puts out some really fantastic stuff. So for those of you that are here as mentors to FSL teachers, you really want to send them to this website. For those of you that are FSL teachers, I'm sure you've been on this website before. We wanted to start out to just kind of see who is in the room. Thank you to those of you that introduced yourselves in the chat pod at the beginning. It was nice to sort of get to know a little bit who we have with us tonight. When we put together this slideshow, it was hard for us to not sort of default back to information for FSL teachers, because that's what sort of Jennifer and I are used to doing. We're used to putting presentations together for FSL teachers. This is directed more for people that might be mentoring or might be administrators for FSL teachers, new FSL teachers. So you will probably find I will default back to speaking directly to FSL teachers, but everything we put together is sort of meant for someone that might not have the FSL background, that is in a position to mentor someone in the FSL role. So to start here, we've set up a Jamboard that we'd like you to try. Jennifer's going to put it up in the chat pod, the address for the Jamboard. I think it just went up, right? Yep, there it is. So if you could click on that link, I'm really hoping that it's going to open for everyone. I'm pretty sure we have the right permissions on it. And just let us know who you are and where you're from. I'm going to just share this Jamboard for a moment. For those of you that haven't used Jamboard before, to add your information in, you're going to choose one of these sticky notes at the side, sort of drag it over, and you can put your name and your board and maybe your role. Excuse me, you can choose the color and things like that. So I'll give you a few moments just so we can kind of see who's with us tonight. This is so exciting. I'm so glad that it worked right away. This is actually really neat to see this happening in real time. I see core French teachers, CERTs, all different school boards, literacy coach, a lot of French teachers, wonderful. FSL board lead, excellent. Thank you for sharing that out to us. I know in sort of this day and age, most people are familiar with these kinds of tools, but Jennifer and I really wanted to try and, put some of the things in the presentation that you might bring back to your classroom to use with students. Great, excellent. So we have immersion teachers and core French teachers, great. Virtual teachers, brick and mortar teachers. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you for sharing with us. I'm going to go back to our presentation here. And just before we go on, I just wanted to thank you again. I know it's a crazy busy time of year. Progress reports coming up. We have virtual school happening, brick and mortar school happening. IEPs just went out. Some boards have sort of a reorganization coming. So we really appreciate you taking the time to come to our presentation tonight. It's kind of nice to be able to do this in your own home. There's sort of a comfort with that. So I just wanted to thank everybody for taking the hour out of your time tonight. I was telling Jennifer and Jordan earlier that I've kind of bribed my kids with their iPads right now, but don't be shocked if they show up during our presentation. You might see them. Okay, I'm sure some of you have seen this before. I just wanted to, again, talk about this year. The thing about 2020, nothing this year has been as usual. I don't know if you have seen this.
Let's see if the all-new hurdles have any effect on that perpetually good-natured
Actual footage of teachers trying to get through 2020.
And still smiling. My goodness, Johnny, these hurdles are brutal. They're taking it like a champ, but it's punishing with a gut. Johnny, a beating. Oh my God! Vicky with a full-on backhand, and John, if you take a closer look, even as she's wiping out, she turns her frown upside down.
And I like that one because what I'm finding in my board anyway, and I'm sure it's the same province-wide, teachers have really risen to the occasion. I mean, no matter what we are thrown, teachers want to make it good for kids. They want to make it enjoyable for kids, and they want to make it safe for kids. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming just to learn more about creating positive space. For those of you that are in sort of the mentor role this year, we wanted to go over the 3 key teacher needs for virtual models, which is new this year. And I mean, last year we were in the distance learning, which was a little different than this year. All teachers need access to quality digital resources, access to other teachers in a similar role, and access to technology. FSL teachers especially, we find, need access to other teachers in a similar role. Those of you in Core French may be the only Core French teacher in your school. And you can start to feel almost like an island. Or if you're in a K-8 school, typically we have one sort of junior teacher, one intermediate teacher. There's not a lot of overlap. So those of you mentoring, we really want to encourage you to get these FSL teachers to their board leads or even provincial websites like OMLTA, ACP, things like that can sort of help the teachers to feel part of a community. We always joke in our board that the Core French PD sessions are always the ones with the most laughs, or always the ones that are the most fun. Core French teachers and French immersion teachers really like to connect. We have sort of one of those jobs that have unique needs and unique strengths. So really make sure you try and access other teachers in other buildings or even in other boards to share resources, share stories, share strategies.
Let's see if the all-new hurdles have it.
Okay, here we go. So module 1, the background sort of questions, considerations we asked ourselves were, how can leaders support teachers new to FSL? Where should FSL teachers be looking for information? What things should be considered before the first day of school? And what FSL organizations and local supports are available? So we are going to go through the whole slide deck with you that we created. What this is meant to be is sort of an overview of what you will find in the slide deck on OMLTA. The guiding principles that we started with, we did not include in the slideshow. What we put in the slideshow, we wanted to sort of be timeless. And these documents that I have currently on the slide for you are from 2013, 2015, 2016. We don't think the principles are going to change. We don't think the strategies are going to change, or sort of the vision is going to change. But by including these resources in the slideshow, we thought it might date the slideshow and the video on OMLTA. I just wanted to go into it a little bit in the overview, because in FSL, we base everything we do on sort of what the ministry puts out and the vision that the ministry puts out. So this guide here, French as a Second Language, contains the vision and the framework for FSL K-12. We have the vision, the goals, the guiding principles, and then the strategic focus areas. So Jennifer and I looked at the vision, the goals, and then the strategies. And this is really what we wanted to sort of hit home in the video, in the slide deck on OMLTA, specifically the strategic focus areas. These are things that can be happening in schools that are going to help strengthen the FSL program, whether it's immersion or Core French, or whether you're doing French coverage or you're a cert, in a school with French. We really want to strengthen this program. Years ago, when I started teaching in sort of the late 1990s, early 2000s, without dating myself too much, French kind of had, there was sort of this thinking like French didn't matter, right? It was one of those courses the parents never asked about, and it was just kind of you know, it was something the kids had to do. And we really have worked hard as a province, I think, to get away from that and to value the French programming that goes on in the school. So we really focused, everything we did kind of came back to these guiding principles. Our module goals, if you look on the right-hand side of this table, these were our goals: to ensure our students feel safe and supported while learning French, to support our educators in navigating the à la carte experience, to motivate our students to become lifelong language learners, to elevate French language learning, and to support educators in developing strong relationships with students and families. So those being our goals, our steps were the left-hand side of this table. So these were the kinds of things that we wanted to get into the slides for you. Okay, Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is this our breakout group or is this our doc?
This is our doc.
This is our doc. Okay, thank you. So Jennifer is going to put in the chat pod a link to a Google Doc, and I hope it goes as smoothly as our first interactive activity. That was fantastic. We want to hear from you. So if you're an MTIP teacher or a teacher new to FSL, we want to know, what is the biggest challenge as an FSL teacher? If you're a mentor, what is the most challenging consideration to MTIP or new FSL teachers? And if you're an administrator, what is the biggest hurdle when onboarding new FSL teachers? If you don't clearly fall into one of those categories, don't worry. I mean, you can choose any of those prompts you want to answer. Okay, so we'll give you a few minutes. I will present this as we start filling it in.
So feel free to just take one of the grids or boxes available in the grid and populate. The prompts are above, and there are 3 different tables, one for each prompt.
Okay, I see. Thank you, Jennifer. Sorry, I did not explain that properly. Jennifer, just as we're sharing here, my computer went into sleep mode suddenly. Can you let me know what I'm presenting right now? I don't see my presentation on any of my tabs.
Sure, Andrea, no problem. Yeah, so you're not actually sharing your screen currently, from what I can tell. So I see you. If you're having issues, just let me know and I can present for you and just go through. So just keep me posted.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. And you're back online. We can see the presentation.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I'm going to now, do you see the shared doc right now?
Yeah, we do. Lots of great ideas. So thank you to everyone. All of the anonymous creatures that are adding their very well thought out considerations and so many different perspectives too. So it's very valuable. Thank you for sharing.
Wow, wonderful thoughts here. Thank you so much for your thoughtful responses. I see a lot of considerations here that would be province-wide. I mean, they're the same things that I hear in my board consistently. Things like, I read one toward the bottom, when students are trying to share their thoughts, but it takes them just so much time to get out what they want to say that the class sort of loses interest by the time they're done, and then you've lost the class. And it's heartbreaking, right? Because you want these students to take the risks to do that, but it's absolutely true that the students do lose interest. So definitely we've been there before. Yep, the à la carte teachers, we hear that a lot too, getting used to being in different rooms and different sort of routines and expectations, and you find that you're having to adjust a little bit to that. Definitely, there's a lot of people in that situation too. I see a few things about COVID related sort of challenges this year, and kudos to all the teachers in the classrooms. You guys are doing such a great job. The kids are happy, and even though it's challenging for you and exhausting for you, the kids really, they seem happy. So what you're doing is really working. Okay, great. Thank you for those. And we can leave those actually linked, can't we, Jennifer? So if people want to sort of look back at these in our slides, they'll be there for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I'm super happy that went really smoothly again. I'm thrilled so far. Okay. The next sort of, the next consideration we want to look at is the culturally responsive pedagogy. I'm not sure if your boards are talking about this culturally responsive and relevant pedagogy actually or not. This is a big discussion in my board, I know right now. And I really feel like as French teachers, we're in a really good position to just sort of hit on this in each and every class, each and every day. Not only does the French curriculum sort of talk about different Francophone cultures in different countries or in different parts of our own country, but students love to talk about themselves, right? So in French, we kind of have this sort of built-in way that we can get students hooked into what we're doing by talking about themselves and talking about their interests. LinkedIn for you here, I'm not going to open it up for you, but this keeps going on my screen, but underneath this sort of menu, it says CRRP doc, and that is the culturally responsive and relevant pedagogy ministry document that the word is escaping me right now. But the document that the ministry has put out, and that's where actually we got this graphic right here, the monograph. Thank you. The word just came to me. Sorry. The monograph from the ministry. So we really like how they put the different characteristics sort of in a nice graphic like this. Although, of course, you want to touch on all of them, we really want to look at number 5, characteristic number 5, because we feel like as FSL teachers, you have a quick way into this because you can have the students sort of presenting about themselves and talking about themselves and their families and their interests and their cultures.
Andrea, so
Yep.
sorry to interrupt, but we're actually still on the shared doc. So if we could
oh
go
my
back
goodness,
to the other
I'm
tab.
so sorry.
Not a problem. So we were actually looking at the monograph. Maybe we can just go back to the other piece. So this is
Sure.
from the ministry monograph of culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. And so these are the 6 characteristics of a culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy.
Right. So when you look at that monograph, it really is. I don't know how often you get in to look at the ministry monographs, but they really are fantastic. It's a really sort of, in a nutshell, look at for this one specifically, the culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. And as I was saying, the FSL world, we really have a built-in way to sort of get at this and get to know our students and their culture and their interests and things like this. So the deep knowledge of their students, know about the lives of students and their families, know how students learn best and where they are in their learning. A lot of the FSL world is observation. We don't necessarily have a lot of product assessment, but we have a lot of observation, conversation assessment. So this is kind of where you can touch on this with your students. We have one example of what you could do. This is a virtual example, but you could also do this in a brick and mortar school. Avec quel pays identifies-tu? D'où viens-tu? D'où vient ta famille? Quels pays sont importants à vous? Vas-y à ton diapo pour nous en dire. Liste tes pays dans la boîte donnée et montre-les sur la carte avec un cercle. So this is obviously a virtual model of this, but absolutely you could put a big, map of the world on your bulletin board. And we've all seen where, you put the pin where the student is from, and then you have the string sort of going out to show, a little paragraph from the student or their picture or whatever you might be doing in your classroom. And it's just a nice way to have students talk about themselves and their culture and sort of make the world feel a little smaller than what it might feel like for these students. Going back into the slides that Jennifer and I put together that are on the OMLTA site, these two slides in particular, we feel like are sort of unique needs to FSL teachers. So the one unique need is the à la carte experience. Not a lot of teachers have that same experience where they're going room to room to room. They need anchor charts. They need, lots of vocabulary, pictures and things like that they need to bring with them to each and every class to help support their students. And then the FSL teachers connecting with families and keeping that homeroom teacher in the loop. So these are kind of specific needs to Rotary teachers and FSL teachers. So we've set up some breakout groups, or we are going to set up some breakout groups. And we'd like you in your breakout group to cover one or both of the prompts here. What types of supports might benefit à la carte FSL teachers? And or number two, what might be the advantages of Rotary French teachers being in contact with homeroom teachers and families? So that might be a core French teacher, or it might be a French immersion coverage teacher, any type of Rotary teacher, talking to homeroom teachers and families, sort of keeping everyone in the loop. What would be the advantages of that? So Jennifer, I believe, is going to put a new Meet link in the chat box. Is that what we're doing, Jennifer?
I think we'll defer to Jordan here. Jordan, would it be easier for you to set up breakout rooms? Is that okay?
I'm not sure how to do that, but if you walk me through, I haven't played with that on the Google.
Oh, this is perfect, because anyone in the presentation that hasn't done it yet can sort of walk through with us on how to do this.
So,
all right, so you should see some geometric shapes.
Yes.
In your, so if you click on that.
Just show everybody at home, it's these activities.
Does anybody else? Okay. So I think we were having some issues. Well, we were having some issues there with the sound. So what I think is if Andrea, maybe you pause the presenting for a moment. Yeah. Okay. Jordan, are you still
I am.
with us? Okay, perfect. So I think what may have happened with the sound was that Andrea was still presenting, so your presentation mic was still going. So we can try now the breakout room one more time quickly, and if we have continued audio, then we can just do a different strategy.
Okay. So would you like me to mute while I set the virtual rooms up?
Yeah, sounds good. Merci, Lynn.
Andrea, it's going really well.
I didn't realize there was a huge noise happening. I'd have to apologize to everyone.
I heard the noise and I couldn't stop it. I thought I'd pushed something when I was trying to get the breakout rooms going.
Well, and I didn't hear it, right? So I just looked, I turned my phone off. Jennifer had texted me. And so I just, like when you're presenting, you don't read the text box, right?
So Josette just said, did we tell them what they're doing in their breakout rooms?
Those prompts, yes. What are the...
But they can't see your screen anymore.
So what can I do? Even if I present my screen, they won't see it right now, will they?
No, I don't think they will when you're over there.
Hi. Do you want to bring them back? Because what I did is I was put into a breakout room as well. So I shared my screen with that breakout room. And so they have the questions, but only they do, right?
Right.
So do you want to bring them back and try again?
Well, if we put the questions in the chat pod, will they see them?
You can go into every breakout room and just share the questions if you want. We can do that. Do you want us to do that?
I don't know if I have access to all the breakout rooms. Here, what if I do this?
It would actually have to be Jordan, and that's a little bit hard for her to manage.
I don't have the question.
If I If
I
you're in a
think what-
breakout room, do you see the chat pod still?
Yeah, you see, no, you only see the chat pod in your own breakout room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Jordan. That's okay. Why don't we bring people back, if
Okay.
that's okay?
Yeah,
And
I'll close
then
the rooms.
yeah, and then it's up to you, Andrea. Do you want to send them back to a breakout room, or do you want to just have a conversation?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think we'll see if anybody wants to share, unmute themselves and share maybe.
Okay.
I'll
Sounds
close
good.
the room.
Thanks, Jordan.
So I think we're almost all back. So my apologies for that big awful noise that was happening. I had no idea that was happening. And I wasn't looking at the chat pod at the time. So my apologies. But thank you to those of you that sort of empathized with me and said this happens in my class too. So thank you very much. Typically, I don't present my own screen while I'm presenting. So new learning for me. So thank you for being patient with us. Yes. And I also understand in the chat rooms, you didn't have access to the questions. So we thought we'd just come back, and instead of sort of reorganizing, going back into the chat rooms, we wondered if anybody might want to share their thoughts on one of the prompts or two of the prompts. Can you see my screen again right now? The slide with the prompts?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So if anyone has anything, we can use the raise hand feature, which is at the bottom. Or if you just want to share something in the chat pod, maybe Jennifer could keep an eye on that.
Sure, no problem. I will just say, just anecdotally, because my first time playing with breakout rooms was about last week, and we had quite a time with it as well, but it is a really great tool. So one thing that you'll notice if you have not yet used breakout rooms is it'll ask you the number of rooms you want to have and who you want to direct to each room. I tried to drag and drop them to all the rooms, the participants. Fun fact, if you just have a list and you copy paste students' names, they'll just put them in those rooms for you. So that's a nice workaround for a breakout. It would have saved me a lot of time. These are some of the questions that we were hoping that you could have discussed in a breakout room. I'm noticing, Christine, thanks for that. I'm noticing, I think that Jordan generated this link, and I think maybe from her particular board, that feature for the raise hand is not available, because I'm noticing that as well.
Oh, okay.
It's that raise hand feature is not at the bottom. So I know that different boards, depending on their connection with Google, have different features activated. So that might be the case here.
Also, Google is sort of slowly rolling out different features. I know that some of our board have some of these features, but some of our board doesn't yet. They're coming. So for those of you that don't have it yet, eventually maybe mine's at the bottom and it's just like a picture of a hand and it says raise hand. And if I click it, you'll see that beside my name, there's like a little icon. And then if my question has been answered, I just lower hand. So it's handy when you have a whole class of students in front of you, rather than them putting H in the side chat. You can actually see it right next to their name.
Yeah. The other piece might be if you're not in your board email, which, for example, I'm in my Gmail right now, you wouldn't have all of the features necessarily. So I think that's what occurred as well. Yeah.
Okay, so is there anyone that might be able to talk to what types of supports might benefit an à la carte FSL teacher?
So maybe what we can do is, if anybody wants to share, feel free to just jot your ideas in the chat box. And if you'd like to share on the mic, you can type the word hand if you don't have the raise hand, and we can definitely go that modality as well. I just wanted to answer because I think somebody had asked, can we share the map that was previewed earlier? I didn't get the chance to answer that question. Happy to share. So that was something that we created within WireDSB. So I do have that document and I'd be happy to share.
And also the slides, I believe, will be the OMLTA site for your perusal. And there are some links in there if you'd like to use those also. Okay. A mentor or two, Alistair says, a mentor or two that's helping FSL ACAL teachers. I always found at schools, the core French teachers, they almost did need two mentors. I mean, you need one mentor that knows core French, but it's nice to have another mentor that just sort of knows the school and has different sort of techniques and strategies for getting to know sort of the school population. Hannah says, I wish we had the opportunity to attend more PD sessions. Yes, absolutely. That's part of the problem, right? We have all this great sort of all these resources to share. But then even if you do get the chance to go to PD, you don't really get that follow-up time always, right? To sort of get all of this new good information sort of manifested into your practice. Jennifer says, oh, there it is. Working as part of a team, finding people who do the same role as you, possibly even at other schools. That's an excellent point. And we talk about that in our slides also. It's key for French teachers, especially core French teachers, to network with other teachers with the same role at different schools or in different boards, or, you know, whoever you can find, just to share ideas and have someone that gets it. Right? Because core French is, I mean, I did core French for about 10 years and I did French immersion for about 8 years, and they are completely, totally different jobs. So it really is important to find somebody that can speak to what you're doing. Yeah, a spot in each class to have visuals. That's really great. If you're in a school that really supports the French program, that can kind of give you a bulletin board or a spot on the board where that's the French area to the classroom. And sometimes that's just a conversation with the homeroom teacher that you'd like that if they have the room. And most teachers are supportive of the French program. I mean, there's always the exception to the rule, but typically if you have a conversation with teachers, they're happy to help out. Okay, were there any big ones that I missed there, Jennifer, that you have seen?
So I think just having supportive colleagues and administrators who are also finding ways to put forward some of those practices that you mentioned. So having French valued at the school level, and those pieces, which I know that we spoke about in depth in our module. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you for sharing. And you know what? We're going to skip the second prompt because I noticed that it's about 10 to 8, and we want to leave time for Q&A also at the end if we have any questions. So we're going to move on. If we really want to talk about that later, we can come back to it. So this slide is directly from the slide deck on the OMLTA site. And it's kind of just what we were talking about a little earlier is we really want to encourage these students to take risks, to speak and write French without being afraid of making mistakes, since making mistakes is part of learning a new language. So we really want to celebrate that trial and error that students go through. I'll never forget, I was talking with I think she was in grade 1 or grade 2, and I was talking to her in French, and she was talking back to me in French, and I asked her, avec qui habites-tu? And she said, j'habite avec ma mère. And then she thought, and I thought, what's going on? And she goes, et mon escalier, papa. And it took me a second, but she was saying my stepdad, right? And she just, instead of defaulting to English, she took a risk, and I knew exactly what she meant. And I always would use that example with students too, to tell them, like, just try, right? I knew what she meant. Everybody in this room would know what she meant. So we want to make sure also at the school level, we emphasize the importance of knowing learners and building positive relationships. Advocate for collaborative learning that empowers student voice and choice, which we spoke about a little earlier. Value interaction in French over perfection. This is big in French, and when we talk about the CEFR, the Common European Framework, we want students to be able to communicate. That doesn't mean they need to communicate perfectly, but we want them to be able to take that risk and acknowledge that mistake making is part of the learning process, as you saw with me today, presenting and making that awful noise for all of you to listen to. The last point that we really wanted to bring your attention to, and this is again directly from our slideshow, is promoting the growth mindset. There's been, talk about this the last, 4, 5, 6 years about Carol Dweck's work with the growth mindset. And I find I'm hearing less and less kids saying, I'm not good at French, or I'm not good at math, or I can't do this. And they really are starting to realize that they can learn anything. And with FSL, we really want to encourage that. It's not that they're not good at French. It's that they don't have the vocabulary yet, or they're not ready to take the risk yet. So we use this table a lot at my board to work with students and even to work with staff facing challenges. It's really nice to sort of circle back to here when faced with challenges. I wanted to bring your attention also to the viewer's guide on the OMLTA site. We created a viewer's guide that goes with the video. The viewer's guide is linked here, and it just it goes through all of the slides with you. I'm really visual, so I love the viewer's guide. I can sort of look through it as I'm watching something. There's also a lot of links at the bottom for new FSL teachers or even seasoned FSL teachers. It's always nice to sort of just have your hands on something new. So I encourage you to go to the viewer's guide and just have a look at those links. Some of them are websites, some of them are documents, some of them are even videos. But we were really strategic in what we chose to go along with our module that teachers need to know before sort of the first day of school. Okay, and that is all I have to say. Are there any questions, or is there anything I sort of glossed over that you want me to go in more detail about? Or if, like, I know it's late and it's Tuesday, if you just want to go, you can go. Thank you for coming. Those of you that want to stay online, we can stay for a few more minutes if you have any questions. Oh, thank you. Jordan's put a survey on the side here about tonight's session. So this is my report card, I guess, maybe, right, Jordan?
Just a quick overview. Thanks, Andrea. Just if you have a moment to fill out a quick survey about tonight's session. Oh, I think Andrea, you're feedbacking again a little bit from presenting. I think that might be something we have to figure out.
Oh.
So if you have a moment to fill out that survey, if you have any questions, you can unmute your mic or write in the chat, and Jennifer and Andrea can answer for you.
Great. And those of you that have to go, go ahead. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for staying with us to the end.
And thank you for everyone. This is Jordan Sloan again. We are having our Module 2 session next Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. So Tuesday, November 10th. It will be Module 2, Engaging Students, which is going to focus on the importance of knowing the learners, planning for authentic and engaging tasks, universal design for learning, and how planning for student engagement reduces classroom management issues. So if you haven't had a chance to sign up for that, it's the same link that you used to sign up for tonight's session. So feel free to do that. And it will be on all of the social media platforms from the OMLTA this week. So thank you to Andrea and Jennifer, and we'll stay open for a few more minutes if anyone has any questions.
So I like Vicky's question. I was wondering the same from Alistair, but I don't see Vicky's question.
So Andrea, Vicky's question is, how can we allow students to take risks and make mistakes when we have to assess them and give them a grade?
Right. Well, part of that is sort of building your expectations with the students, and just sort of being upfront with what you expect from them. I mean, for a student to take a risk, their mark, their sort of evaluation mark, doesn't depend on what they can do sort of in front of the class, right? They could just be having a one-on-one conversation with you, or, you could be observing them talking with a friend or something. It doesn't always have to be product centered and presentation centered. You'll find in French, especially, a lot of what you assess is going to be based on conversations with the students.
Yeah, and I think if I can add to that, right, it's risks in a supportive environment, right? So making sure that when we're taking risks, it's done with things like sentence starters and visuals on the walls and opportunities to practice the same vocabulary in multiple contexts, so that by the time you've practiced it and practiced it and practiced it, it's easier to take that risk, right? You've had the opportunity to hear others through comprehensive input, taking those risks, and it's building the climate that supports the confidence as well.
And the link to the upcoming webinars are on the OMLTA site. I don't have them handy right now, but they're on the site.
They're also on all of the social media. So if you're on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, they will all be there, and I will repost them again all throughout the week.
And sorry, just to, in case anybody didn't see Michelle's addition there, being transparent as to when you're officially evaluating them would help them know when they can do. So yeah, so honest to also be, have students aware of not only when they're being marked, but specifically what you're looking for, and providing opportunities for them, as we said, to practice it in a supportive setting and take those risks in preparation for what might be counted as a formal evaluation. So yeah, that's a great point.
Great. Okay. Well, I don't see any questions. So I'm happy to stay on until everybody has to go. And again, the links for everything will be on the site. And Jennifer has put a lot of the links in the chat pod also for you.
What we'll do too is we can add some of the accompanying slide deck with some of those links. So if I think the resource like the map and some other of the hyperlinks can be provided within that as well. So that will be on the site with the recording.
Thanks, Josette. A registration up before me. And again, if you have a moment to fill out that survey before leaving tonight. And thank you to Jennifer. Thank you to Andrea. That was fantastic. And so next week will be module 2, and we hope to see you then. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.